In this video, I'll show you how to add Bootstrap elements into your website through the WYSIWYG editor. Every AllProWebTools user gets free web hosting. With this comes the website editor. Using the WYSIWYG editor, you can add Bootstrap elements into your website. If you're unfamiliar with Bootstrap, what it does is provide you with elements to help style your website and make it mobile responsive. Bootstrap is already installed and used on every AllProWebTools website, but I can show you how to utilize it further. So I'm going to go and click on Add New on the top menu and select a new web page. I'm going to name this page Bootstrap for now, and I'm going to go to Settings to make sure that it will appear on the menu bar. If I want to utilize Bootstrap, the first thing I need to do is go into my content and insert a Bootstrap template. A Bootstrap template is a grid system that realigns itself based on what device you're using to view the website. The first thing you need to select is a breakpoint. So for example, if I select small, you can see in the description that on extra small and small devices, so smartphones and small tablets, the grid is going to realign itself so that everything stacks. But on medium and large devices, so larger tablets and computers, the columns will show side by side. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. You can see on a full-size computer screen, I have 3 separate columns displaying side by side. But as I make my viewing screen smaller, the 3 separate columns end up stacking on top of each other so that it's easier to read. Once you've selected your breakpoint, now you need to select the columns. In Bootstrap, each row is made up of 12 units, and you can fill this row by filling up the 12 units. You can select whatever size columns you would like, as long as it adds up to a total of 12. So for example, I can set up 2 columns that are equal size if I make sure they are both a 6. So I have a column size 6 plus a column size 6 for a total of 12. If I don't like this arrangement, I can go ahead and hit cancel and insert a new template. Again, I'll have to select my breakpoint, and this time I'm going to put in 2 different size columns. I'm going to put in one that is size 3 and another that is size 9. Notice that they still add up to 12, so it makes for a complete row. If I like, I can add another row underneath by dragging more columns, so long as they add up to 12. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can view tips on using the templates with the WYSIWYG editor. Once you've set up your columns, all you have to do is click OK, and you can see the filler text for each column that was added. Now, following those tips, I'm going to click on View and select to Show Blocks. This can help me see the structure of how everything is set up. And if I hover over each block, I have some helper text in the top right corner that shows me the size of this column. I can turn off that helper text by going to View and unchecking Visual Aids, and now those will not appear. I'm going to turn the visual aids back on. But now that I have my template inserted, I can start adding content. I'm going to go to this first column that's marked 3 out of 12, and I'm going to start adding my content. So now that I've started adding something, I can go back and delete this 3 out of 12 filler text. Then I can finish adding the content in the column. It's important to start adding content to this column before deleting the filler text. I'm going to go down to one of these size 6 columns, and if I try and delete the filler text before adding my own content, you'll notice it automatically gets rid of that column. If I happen to do this, I'm going to have to click on this Undo button, and just remember to add content first before deleting that filler text. In addition to the Bootstrap templates in the columns, you can add other Bootstrap elements to your website as well. I'm going to go into my other size 6 column. I'm going to click on Insert Bootstrap button. The first thing I need to do is select the button style so that it conveys the correct message to my viewer. The next is to select what size I would like the button to be. In this next row, I can select how the action of this button is used. If I leave this as button, it's going to need some custom JavaScript to have some sort of effect. I could also select input and use this as a submit button for a custom form. Most likely, you're going to want to use this A tag, and then you'll paste the URL in the link box, and this button will work just like a hyperlink. Under others, you can make this button not clickable, or you can make it span the entire width. Edit the text, and you can even add an icon. Once you're finished, you can go ahead and click on OK, and now that button has been inserted onto your website. Also, now that I have content in here, I can go ahead and delete that filler text. If I need to change this button, I can go ahead and select it, and then click on the Edit Bootstrap button, and I'll be able to change whatever I need to. Another Bootstrap element I can take advantage of are the icons. I'll place my cursor where I want the icon to appear, and then click on Insert Bootstrap Icon. First thing I can do is select the actual icon I want to use. Then I can select the size, or add my own custom size, and then select the color. These will automatically match the same styles you can use for the button types, or you can select your own custom color if you like. And when you're finished, hit OK. And just like with the buttons, you can edit it by selecting the icon and then clicking the Edit Bootstrap icon. Next, I'm going to go up to my size 9 column, and before deleting this filler text, I'm going to start adding a Bootstrap table. When I click Insert Bootstrap Table, the first thing I need to do is decide how large of a table I want to make. For now, I'm going to make a 2x4 table. Next, I can decide whether I want a header across the top or not, and whether I want a header along the side or not. Next, I have some styles to choose from. Choosing Table Striped will make the alternate rows striped in this table. I can also add a border, and Condensed simply shrinks the table and gets rid of some of the extra margin space. If I select Hover, the row color will change when I hover my mouse over top of it. And selecting Responsive will make the table mobile responsive. I can select multiple styles if I like, and when I'm finished, hit OK. Now you can see the outline of the table I've created, so I'm going to click in it, and I'll start adding my content. All I have to do is click inside the table, and I can start typing to add the content in each of the table cells. For simplicity, I'm going to hit the Tab key on my keyboard to move to the next cell in the table instead of trying to click on each table cell individually. And remember, now that I've added something into this size 9 column, I can come up and delete this 9 out of 12 filler text. The next item I'm going to show is a label, so I'm going to put my cursor next to Hello and Welcome to my Bootstrap web page, and I'm going to click on Insert Bootstrap Label. The first thing I will need to select, once again, is the style of the label, and the only other piece of information to put in is the text. Once I'm finished, go ahead and click OK, and now that label has been added to my web page. Just like the other Bootstrap elements, I can edit it by selecting the label and then clicking on Edit Bootstrap Label. Next, I'm going to add a Bootstrap Badge. I'm going to move my cursor down to the very last column that I've created. I'm going to click on Insert Badge. All I have to do is put in my text and click OK. I'm going to place my cursor someplace else in the content, and now I'm going to try and insert a Bootstrap alert. The first thing I need to do is decide whether I want to be able to close this alert or not. Next option is to change the style of how this alert will appear, and then all I have to do is edit the text. When I'm finished, I can click OK. Now this doesn't look right. It doesn't have the green background that I was expecting. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on View and unselect Show Blocks. Now that Show Blocks is turned off, I can see the Bootstrap alert properly in the editor. The last item that I can add is a Bootstrap Panel. So I'm going to click on Insert Bootstrap Panel. I can decide whether this panel has a heading or not, and whether or not it has a footer. I can change the style of the panel, and I can also change the heading content and the main content in the panel itself. Since I have no footer selected, I don't have to add footer content. And when I'm finished, I'll click OK. And just like before, I can select this panel and then click on the Edit Bootstrap Panel button. And when I change what I need to, I can go ahead and click OK. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this page. I'm going to click on the page name so that I can preview it. We can see all the Bootstrap elements I've used. And now I'm going to make my screen smaller so that we can see how the columns are going to stack on smaller screens.